God bless America. Hello, everybody. I am the Talk Radio Protege. This is the Protege program. Thank you for joining me. The news seems to have really picked up since yesterday. There are three events that I think I could comment on, but that I don't think I could squeeze into one video. So I'm going to give you the short version of two of those things. Let me know in the comments if you want to see more coverage of that. I'm thinking about doing some additional videos tomorrow. That would be, number one, the House Intel Committee will close the Russia investigation, citing no evidence of collusion. The Democrats are already calling for the investigation to be continued in the face of no evidence. This is an incredible revelation that the House Intel Committee, in other words, your elected officials, have decided that there is no evidence for Russian collusion and that continuing the investigation is not going to uncover any collusion evidence. Second item, Rex Tillerson has been outed as the State Department head. Rumors were circulating early this morning that Tillerson didn't know why he was out and wasn't told in advance that he was going to be fired. Apparently, those rumors were untrue. I believe that Tillerson did address some of those rumors in his, call it farewell address earlier today, and the person that circulated those rumors has been fired from Trump's staff. So let me know if you want to hear comments on those two stories. For now, we're going to be talking about Hillary Clinton and her rejection tour, we'll call it. She was in India recently, and she gave a speech or had a kind of interview. I'm not sure which is more accurate to say, but it's been 16 months since she lost her second presidential bid. And in her attempts to cope, she's done a few things. The first is that she started a rumor that now has a life of its own. You probably know what that rumor is. In fact, I'll give you another hint. We've already talked about it today. She wrote a book pouring out all of the possible explanations for her loss, except for one that she isn't willing to entertain yet. And now she's back. She's been on hiatus for a little bit, but she's back, still trying to explain what happened. And you will not believe how sexist her explanation is this time around. Let's get right into it. We'll go to the most notable quotes that the Fox News story has for us. First quote, "We do not do well with white men, and we don't do well with married white women. And part of that is an identification with the Republican Party and a sort of ongoing pressure to vote the way that your husband, your boss, your son, whoever, believes you should." Now, I heard in an extended version of this bite of her speech that she said in a hypothetical situation that a man would tell a woman, whatever the relationship has, doesn't matter. It's just a white man tells a white woman, she's going to jail, right? That's awful. You can't vote for someone like that. And it seems to be that in the world that exists inside Hillary Clinton's mind, married white women are enthralled to the opinions of the men in their lives. Despite the fact that women were allegedly liberated from men in all forms back in the 90s, women, especially married women, especially white married women, only get their information from other men in their lives. And that means that all of the married white women are only getting their information from Republican men. It's as if the reality was so vastly different from this scenario that these married white men were painting for their wives, that if these women had only bothered to look up the quote-unquote truth for themselves, that they would have voted for Hillary Clinton anyway. It couldn't have been that Hillary Clinton was the worst presidential candidate in the history of the United States of America. It couldn't have been that Hillary Clinton was possibly the most corrupt presidential candidate in the history of the United States of America. It couldn't have been that Hillary Clinton was quite possibly the person that wanted the presidency the most and simultaneously worked the least to earn the presidency. It couldn't be any of those things. It couldn't possibly be Hillary Rodham Clinton's fault that she's not the president. No. It's the white men and their slaves that they call wives. It's their fault. Let's go on to the next quote here that Fox News has. I don't care about this advertisement that's trying to pop up here. I won the places that represent 2/3 of America's gross domestic product. Well, then I guess it's a good thing that we don't let the gross domestic product elect our president. But anyway, so I won the places that are optimistic, diverse, dynamic, moving forward, and his whole campaign, Make America Great Again, was looking backwards. Okay, so let me see if I understand what Hillary Clinton is saying. She says that gross domestic product is directly linked to optimism, diversity, dynamicism, and progressivism. So then where does the other 1/3 of the GDP come from? Now, if Hillary Clinton only secured 2/3 of the GDP, and the GDP can only come from places that vote Democrat, then where's the other 1/3 of the GDP? Because she's missing 1/3 of it. She's only got 2/3. Where's the other 1/3, and why did they vote for Trump? Also, optimism, diversity, progressivism, those are all subjective points of view. And allow me to try and illustrate that. Think about all of the red states. These are the states that in the world of Hillary Rodham Clinton are pessimistic. This would be like Texas, Oklahoma, the middle of the country, the Bible Belt. I guess you could also call it Tornado Alley. It seems to be the same states. The Deep South would be some other red states. You've got the mountain states that are mostly red, Montana, Wyoming, Idaho, etc. Would you say that those states right now are optimistic about the direction of the country or pessimistic? Let's think about the liberal states right now. Let's think about California. Let's think about New York. Let's think about Washington State. Oregon, maybe? Did Oregon vote Trump? I don't remember. Hawaii. Think about maybe Delaware, Vermont. Are those states optimistic or pessimistic right now? There's a coalition of Democrat voters that call themselves the Resistance. And if you're the Resistance, that means that your opponents are in power, which is not optimistic. I would assume that is not optimism. Let's think about diversity and how subjective that is. There can be diversity in skin color. There can be diversity in political opinion. There can be diversity in gender. There can be diversity in national origin. There can be diversity in economic opinions. Who gets to decide what version of diversity is a good version of diversity? Because I guarantee you, the left doesn't give a flying flip about political diversity. The left wants political thought to be homogenous, one thing and one thing only. And if you've seen some of the statements from left-leaning people and progressive people and what they call diversity, then you understand diversity to mean something very different from what diversity actually means in the dictionary. I would cite for you the picture tweeted of the black models in their underwear that was called the most diverse fashion photo that anyone had ever seen. And everybody in the photo had the same skin tone. That's these people's version of diversity. Moving forward, being progressive. You know, the liberal campuses across the country are actually reverting to racial segregation in some scenarios. would you say that the people that are opposing the current direction of the country are moving forward or trying to hold the country back? See, these things that Hillary Clinton just said, the places that she won, are all subjective. The places that Hillary Clinton won in 2016 are not optimistic right now. They may not have even been optimistic then, but they're certainly not optimistic by Hillary Clinton standards right now. Last quotes from Miss Clinton that we have for you. She claimed Trump's message to voters was, "You don't like black people getting rights. You don't like women getting jobs. You don't want to see that Indian American succeed more than you are." Now, something that I didn't read was all the times that she said "you know" in those 3 sentences. If you've ever listened to somebody talk and they have what I'll call a verbal tic, something that they just do constantly and they do it throughout a speech, it's extremely distracting. So you can imagine hearing Hillary Clinton saying you don't like black people getting rights. You don't like women, getting jobs. You don't want, to see that. And the verbal tic is something that someone does to fill silence. President Obama had a verbal tic. You might not have noticed it because of how smooth he was in his delivery of everything else. But President Obama had a verbal tic, and it was, he would just, in the, like, I have them too, obviously. He would do it 2 or 3 times in a sentence. He would say a few words, and then he would say a few more words, and then he would finish his sentence. Verbal tics are extremely distracting, and people that recognize that they have a verbal tic work very hard to reduce the usage of the tic. And the reason that somebody has a verbal tic is because they're uncomfortable with silence in a speech. And if you can get to where you're comfortable with there being a silence, with there being a pause, maybe it's a dramatic pause, maybe it's just a pause so you can think about the word that you want to use, then you don't use that verbal tic. And I'm here to tell you, a brief moment of silence while someone searches for the right word that they want to use is much less distracting than a verbal tic. And I just left you several pauses. I will say some of them were on purpose, some of them probably weren't. But a pregnant pause is much, much less distracting than someone saying, or whatever that sound that Obama was making, that sound that he did. I just wanted you guys to see that the person that is running around telling the world, telling anybody that will listen, how terrible and awful Trump voters are, has not gotten over the 2016 election. Hillary, honey, it's been 16 months. It's been a year and a half. Most people after 3 months can get over an old boyfriend or girlfriend. The presidency was never your sweetheart, was never even in a position to dump you in the first place. The American people have dumped you on behalf of the presidency, and it's time for you to get over it. It's time for you to move on. It's time for you to find another honey. I know you probably don't like your husband very much. I'm sure he cost you some millennial voters, and I'm sure you're bitter over that. But you're married to the man. Maybe there's something that your life partner can do to help you get over the people of the United States of America dumping you. I'm sorry that this happened to you. Secretly, I'm not, but I'm just going to say that I'm sorry you're in such a place where you can't get over this rejection. But it's healthy for people to move on from rejection. That's going to do it for this video. I hope that you all enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, hit subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Come back tomorrow. We'll be doing a new report. Let me know in the comments. Once again, if you want to hear more about the House Intel Committee closing the Russia investigation, and if you want to hear more about Rex Tillerson leaving involuntarily the State Department. Let me know what you guys think about Hillary Clinton. Does she seem like someone obsessed with being rejected from the presidency, or do you think she really is looking for the actual truth as to why she lost? I'm sure that you have a sense of what my opinion is, and I'd love to hear yours. Come back tomorrow as we'll continue giving out new reports. Until then, good night and God bless.